You're listening to Up the Turnpike with hosts Mitch Anderson and Matt O'Leary.
Hello and welcome into the Up the Turnpike YouTube channel. Matt O'Leary alongside Mitch Anderson. Mitch, it looks like we're going to have some Islanders news as they are working on an Alex Romanov extension right now. It looks like it's already done here.
Yeah, it looks like it's done and dusted. Puckpedia was the first ones to it there, and they said 8 years, $6.25 million per season. What are your initial reactions to both the term and the cost?
The term is about 3 more years longer than I thought it was going to be. I was hoping for a 4 or 5 year deal for him, and I was hoping between like somewhere around 5 million, maybe a little over 5 million a year for Romanov on that term. I think once you go longer, that's actually going to bring the money up, especially when you consider how much the cap is going to increase over the next few years.
Yeah, for me, I was also hoping like $5.5 million, I think is where I was at with him. But I got to keep correcting myself in terms of just how much this cap is going up. Like a $5.5 million deal in last year's cap ceiling was, I made it was 6.25% of the cap, right? A $6.25 million hit this year is 6.5% of the cap. So yeah, less would have been more equitable with where we were at, but like not by much. I feel like the actual financials, the actual monies is where we're splitting hairs probably, but the term it's a little long.
Yeah, I just would have preferred on the shorter. I'm not saying like short term, like 2-year deal, but like, I don't know, a mid-range deal, take him to roughly 30 years old. He'll be signed through, I guess, his age 32 season.
Yeah.
And I like Romanov. I think I like him more maybe than the consensus. I feel like there's some who are really down on Romanov because some of the analytical numbers aren't great with him. But I like the physicality that he plays with. I think he's a good second pair guy. I don't think he's a top pair guy, but I think he's a good second pair guy. And clearly it seems like Matthew Darche and Patrick Waugh like him.
Yeah, that's the thing. Matthew Darche, from the beginning, right? When he was hired, he talked about like the core of players. And for most of us, we all like Alex Romanov, but we didn't consider him a core piece. But when Matthew Darche was talking about the core, Alex Romanov was definitely in there. And you're going, oh, damn, okay, cool. Like he really likes this guy. And clear enough, that has been shown with this contract that we'll see more of once it actually gets released. But 8x625 is a clear intent by him saying, I really want you here for a while. And you talked about like the value on, not maybe the value, but how long the contract is and what would have been more ideal. When I look at Dom Luszczyszyn, he writes out his tweet and he shows like kind of the net trajectory for that contract over the life cycle of it, and never gets negative until the final 2 years, which makes sense, right? He gets to age 31, 32 seasons. He's not going to be as effective as he was beforehand. So we're looking at maybe some marginal plus value for most of this contract until probably the final 2 years of it where it tails off, which is kind of what you were saying. Like, that's why I wanted to avoid that type of stuff. I wanted to sit in the positive value the entire time.
Correct. And market value has him, at its peak, 6 million, and then down to 5.8 the final year. But this is, a fine contract, as he says. Okay deal for Alex Romanov, though. Getting under 6 million would have been ideal. He's grown into a reliable second pair defenseman and should stay that way for a while. Again, I think that's fine for him. Now you can get into the debates on whether or not they should have did that with after drafting, Matthew Schaefer, and they took Kashawn Aitchison as well, and Isaiah George. So you could kind of get into like, all right, was this a good decision to do long term or not? But I'm gonna squabble over the last couple of years on that deal, but I don't think it's horrible.
No, I really don't either. And I get the idea of like, oh, this might block some guys later. That's a later problem. Like, Aitchison might not be here for 3 years. You still need a guy to play in your top 4 for the next 3 years minimum. Schaefer will be here, but fine. That's 2 guys you got in your top 4 now. Ryan Pulock and Adam Pelech are not getting any younger. They're not going to be able to play in your top 4. And you lost Noah Dobson. So you're running out of top 4 options, or top 4. Yeah, I said it right. Top 4 options for years. And even then, when Aitchison is ready to step up, assuming he's ready, even in 3 years, he's not going to be ready to go top end guy, like his ceiling type of thing in 3 years. He's going to take maybe another year or two to get used to the NHL. So you still need guys. Like you're looking at probably 5 years out of this Alex Romanov deal where you're still going to need him in his top 4. And then you're getting into the final 3, which is what you're saying, going like, well, now we can figure out what to do with him when we get there.
Yeah, Schaefer, Romanov, and Aitchison, I can get used to that trio for a while. Or even just if you want to say Schaefer and Romanov as your top 2 lefties for the first a while into this one. I wanted to pull up Mitch, AFP Analytics. They do a lot of projections on contracts, and they were projecting a 1-year $4.5 million cap hit essentially. They say Romanov. No, I always thought that was too low anyway, but they kind of say that in their tweet. Romanov had a solid season, but we ultimately did not project long-term due to limited comps and the Islanders situation at the time. Poor decision on our part, they say. On a long-term deal, this is the value is likely fine.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes a lot of sense for what they're giving him. And again, we can squabble over it. Probably should have been less in terms of the actual money, and it probably should have been less in terms of the actual years. Yep. Yeah, you're not going to get a lot of fight from any of us and probably most Islander fans. But this is obviously a fan favorite that they have been able to keep. What is going to be interesting is what kind of trade protection are we getting here? This is where we're going to get into the difference between Lou Lamoriello and Mathieu Darche. And we kind of talked about it the other day when we were reviewing the Noah Dobson deal. We did it just yesterday on the podcast. You saw Noah Dobson get a modified no trade clause with a 14-team no trade list for the entirety of his contract. Meanwhile, Scott Mayfield got a full no trade clause in the first 4 years of a 7-year deal and a 16-team no trade list in the final 3. Scott Mayfield did that, not a Noah Dobson. So like we're going to see the difference here between Mathieu Darche and Lou Lamoriello. I expect Romy's going to get some trade protection. It's just how much? How far does it go?
How far does it go? Is it full no move? Is it modified? Like we could, when those details come out, we could obviously chat about that at another point. But I think it is wise to mention that 2 years from now, when the cap is $114 million, I don't think we're going to be carrying as much at the 625. But
no,
locking in arguably a second pair of defensemen for that long, some might have issues with it. Again, if this was at 5 years, I'd come on and be like, okay, yep, fine, good with it, whatever. We get nervous, or I get nervous at least with the 7-8 year deals because of how many the Islanders have had over the last few years and just how some of those have went.
Yeah. To anyone who's maybe watching this and going like, wow, it's not confirmed. The agent just confirmed it 5 minutes ago on Twitter. Dan Milstein tweeted out congratulations to Romanov on signing an 8-year NHL contract extension with New York Isles. It's done. It's absolutely done. It may not have been tweeted by the team, but the agent sure should confirmed it. So it is definitely done. Again, at this point, it's not a matter of what is it going to be. It's a matter of, well, I guess kind of what is it going to be? At least a trade protection. I'm really interested to see what kind of trade protection he got. And do we see a difference in terms of execution with Mathieu Darche and Lou Lamoriello? Or is it they have to do the same thing because they're on Long Island, right? Because you're on Long Island, you have to give that trade protection where you didn't if you were going to, like, say, Montreal, for example.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see. Romanov played, just for some numbers for you, 64 games this year, 20 points, 4 goals, 16 assists, averaged 22 minutes and 18 seconds of ice time. A pretty dramatic increase from 2050 a year ago and 1927 in his first year with the Islanders.
Yeah, exactly. Plus minus still on the positive side, which I know is not big for me, but I know there's some of you out there who really enjoy that. So take that for what it is. 147 hits, 165 blocks. Like, guy gets in the way of pucks. And you saw the AFP analytics, like a lot of green there, some not so green, but there's no red, which is the thing. We've got a guy that we can put out there for 20 plus minutes a night that our coach loves, that our GM loves, and we know that they can trust him to do the right thing. And we saw the production go up. Yeah, he only got 20 points, but he only played, like you said, 64 games, paced out to 25, 26, I think, rounded up. So it was on pace for a really good year production-wise. I mean, he's only 25 years old. He's going to get a little bit better the next couple of years.
In case you needed any other information, there it is from the team itself. Islanders announced today that the club has signed defenseman Alex Romanov to an 8-year contract.
It's done. So now we just feverishly update whatever cap resource you use to see what kind of trade protection he's getting.
Any closing thoughts as we round this video out on Alex Romanov?
Well, now it's to see what we do with the rest of the money we got, right? So like $6.25 million of how much money did we have going into tomorrow? What do
Over
we got
20.
there? Yeah, so it says cap space. Did they update it? So cap wages hasn't updated yet with Romanov's deal, but we had $22.7 million. So 22.7 minus 6.25, we have $16.45 million left to play with, although we still have Siplikov, Holmstrom, and
Those are really
Heinemann.
deal. And Heinemann. Okay.
Wow.
So there's 3.
Tony DeAngelo, we're probably resigning. Let's say that.
Okay. So more work to be done.
Yeah, exactly. But like, yeah, more work to be done, and we're going to have money to play with for sure.
That'll do it for us on this one, guys. Stay tuned to the channel as Islanders news continues to flow. We'll be live tomorrow for Free Agency Frenzy at 12 noon. So make sure to hang out with us. I'm Matt O'Leary. He is Mitch Anderson, and we'll catch you next time.